Ryan Neiman, Brian Wilson, Mary Catherine Ham, today's newsmakers, and you. The Morning Majority, 630. WMAL.
7:37 on WMAL. The latest on Libya coming up in about an hour. We'll talk with Dr. Waleed Phares, Fox News foreign affairs analyst. Maybe the reports that Gaddafi was donezo, a little premature. Waleed Phares coming up at 8:36. A lot of national attention to the case in Aruba, and it's a local one for us.
Sure it is.
Robyn Gardner is missing, presumed dead. She was in Aruba with Gary Giordano, who is described as a travel companion.
Yeah, what does that mean?
Always trouble.
He had some issues with police and neighbors in the past as well. Rene Sandler joins us now. She's a local criminal attorney and a former prosecutor. So let me get this right. So Giordano took out $1 million+ life insurance policy on Gardner. I mean, sometimes you look at these cases and say, is this guy really this stupid? I mean, really $1 million life insurance policy? That seems like. I mean, did he really think he could get in on that? Just how simple it seems.
Well, you would think so. However, if you step back, first of all, thank you for having me on the show this morning.
Good to have
be
you
here. If you look at Gary Giordano and you ask that question and you're focused just on him and you look backwards at his life and his past, it is not surprising that he would, number one, try and take an insurance policy out, and to actually think that he could get away with it. What's interesting to me, and what I've not seen anybody really focus on, is that his criminal record in Montgomery County, Maryland, where I've practiced for almost 20 years, it reveals a pattern of schemes and fraud and just scams on other people. He has been charged and convicted of what we call a felony theft scheme, which is different than just stealing from someone. That means that he intentionally, consciously scammed, deprived, and schemed a person or persons, and it's multiple offenses, not just a single event for him.
So he's sort of a con artist.
Exactly.
And since you were a prosecutor in Montgomery County, do you have any memory of having any dealings with this guy?
No, I was a prosecutor a long time ago in the mid-'90s, and have been a defense attorney ever since. However, my first year out of the state's attorney's office in '96 was the beginning of his documented criminal life in Montgomery County, Maryland, anyways.
So officials in Aruba are now searching for Robyn Gardner, who they presume is dead. In the other Aruba case, there was, of course, never any body. What difference does that make for prosecution possibilities?
That's a great question. In Montgomery County, just to sort of draw a parallel, we were the first in the country to prosecute successfully a no-body case. Many years ago, John McCarthy did. And what has to happen here for Aruban officials is they have to think outside the box. They have to be creative, because you have Gary Giordano on one side and his inconsistencies and, quite frankly, just not statements that don't make any sense at all, only to him, I guess. And on the other side, you have the development of some forensic evidence. You have blood that they're analyzing. You have surveillance tapes. You have witnesses. You have receipts. You have physical evidence. And so that makes Gary Giordano's statements obviously important to review, but they have to build around it.
But do you think they're going to have to find the body or an idea of evidence that he actually killed her, the actual act of killing her, in order to get a conviction from him?
Well, Aruba, here in Maryland, motive and all the circumstantial evidence would be sufficient, obviously. But in Aruba, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for them. They were under the microscope in the Natalie Holloway case, obviously, and they're calling in officials now to help them, which is a good sign. But they need more.
The Reuben system of jurisprudence is based on the Dutch model, is it not?
That is correct.
And they have very liberal laws, as I understand it.
You are correct. And so in a case where there is a no body or a missing body, the forensics, the credibility of the information that they're gathering in terms of, for example, a fisherman who saw Robyn Gardner and Gary Giordano at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the very time that Giordano says they were snorkeling, preserving that information and just the credibility of that information becomes absolutely critical to the success of this case.
I mean, she was no dummy. I mean, from what you read about her, she was sort of a spirited, free-thinking person. But this guy must be really smooth to have convinced her to go down to Aruba, given sort of his sketchy background. Are you surprised that he had that ability to talk her into going down there?
The honest answer for me is I've been doing this so long that it doesn't surprise me. But to someone like Robyn Gardner, an unsuspecting, by all accounts, a trusting, nice young lady, she would get caught in the web, if you will. And if you look at those that have come forward about similar types of schemes and scams with this modeling and him luring people and women and young ladies, 18 years old, into promises of, I'll make you a model, just come with me. People want to believe other people. People are trusting. But I think, this really goes back to the dangers of Internet, chatting and talking and not really knowing who these people are.
Yeah. Can you just take a life insurance policy out on somebody without them knowing it?
No, you cannot.
So she knew that there was that he took a life insurance policy out?
Do we believe that?
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything that's come forward that said she had knowledge of it yet, other than a report that says she took one out as well, which is strange as well. So I think the next shift of legal analysis is going to be to the fraud involved, either with the agent who issued that policy, some conspiracy issue there with him, has he done this before, and how that policy got bound for him, in this circumstance.
It's one thing to have, a past history with crime, but it's another to actually commit murder. Did he have a violent past, Giordano?
He had a violent past in the sense of what we call restraining orders in domestic violence, and in Montgomery County, two separate women, coincidentally, Gary Giordano is suing one of those two women who had obtained a protective order against him, and they're set for trial on September 14th. He's suing her for $6,200 and change. So that's an interesting sort of twist there. But yes, two separate women have come forward and filed in public pleadings the need for protection from the court, saying that he was violent, he was threatening, and those orders were issued.
All right. I know this is probably very insensitive for if Robyn Gardner's family is listening, but is there any possibility, because I'm sure there are people thinking this, that she was in on it as well, that maybe she's not dead and she's perhaps just out there somewhere?
And it's a fair question where we don't know the true scope of things. I mean, the question that I have for the Robyn Gardners, for her family and for her would be, she had a live-in boyfriend and she went away with another man. That piece of it is a twist and doesn't make sense to me. Is it possible? Sure. But is it likely with all that we know and all that we've learned about her? I think unlikely.
Rene, good to have you on the program. And thanks very much for your time and your insights.
Thank you.